A song comes on, one you have heard 100 times before, and out of nowhere, something in your chest cracks open, your eyes sting, and you have absolutely no idea why. Or you walk into a room, and before anyone says a single word, you already know something is wrong. You feel it in the air, the way you feel a change in temperature. Someone you love has a bad day, and by the evening, their mood is living inside your body, like it pays rent there. For most of your life, people have handed you the same 3 words. You're too sensitive. Grow thicker skin. Stop taking everything so personally. But here is the chilling truth. You were never too sensitive. You were running completely different hardware, and nobody ever bothered to tell you. Think about the last time you sat across from someone who was quietly falling apart. They smiled. They said they were fine. They talked about the weather, and you nodded along. But underneath, your stomach was already tightening, your shoulders were already climbing toward your ears, and a heaviness settled over you that had no logical explanation. You didn't decide to feel that. You didn't choose empathy in that moment, the way you choose a shirt in the morning. It arrived, uninvited, fully formed. And that is the part almost nobody understands about you. People think sensitivity is a choice you keep making, a habit you refuse to break. It isn't. Your nervous system is doing something automatic, something ancient, and something far more sophisticated than the people around you can imagine. In the early 1990s, a team of neuroscientists in Parma, Italy, were studying the brains of macaque monkeys, mapping the cells that fire when a monkey reaches for a peanut. And then, something strange happened. One of the researchers reached for the food himself, and the monkey's brain lit up in exactly the same way. Even though the monkey hadn't moved a muscle, they had stumbled onto what we now call mirror neurons. Cells that fire not only when you do something, but when you watch someone else do it. Your brain doesn't just observe other people. It quietly rehearses them. It runs a private simulation of their experience inside your own body so you can understand it from the inside out. That is how humans learn and bond and survive together. And in your brain, that system is turned all the way up. Sit with what that actually means for a second. When you watch someone get humiliated in a meeting, you are not thinking about their embarrassment from a safe distance. Your brain is generating a low-resolution copy of it inside you. When a stranger on the street looks lost and afraid, your body starts running their fear in miniature before your conscious mind has even caught up. Psychologists call this emotional contagion, and the research is, honestly, a little unsettling. Emotions move between people the way a yawn moves across a room. Faster than language. Faster than thought. Most people catch a faint echo. You catch the whole signal. You are not imagining the weight you feel in crowded places. You are downloading it. And you have been doing it since you were a child. Now, this trait actually has a name, and finding it out is the moment a lot of people finally exhale. In the 1990s, a psychologist named Dr. Elaine Aron began studying people who were consistently overwhelmed by things that barely registered for everyone else. Bright lights, scratchy clothing, loud rooms, other people's emotions. She named the trait sensory processing sensitivity, and the people who carry it, highly sensitive persons. And here is the part that changes everything. It is not a disorder. It is not damage. It shows up in roughly 15 to 20% of the population, consistently, across cultures. And researchers have found the same survival strategy in over 100 other species. Fish, birds, dogs, primates. You are not broken. You are a design that nature keeps choosing to keep. Aron described the trait using 4 features, and you are going to recognize every single one. Depth of processing, meaning you don't just receive information, you chew on it for hours. Overstimulation, meaning your system fills up faster than everyone else's. Emotional reactivity and empathy, meaning your feelings arrive louder and stay longer. And sensing the subtle, meaning you catch the tiny things nobody else clocks. The half-second pause before someone answers a question. The word they chose, instead of the word they meant. The smile that stopped at the mouth and never reached the eyes. You have spent your entire life being told that you overthink. You don't overthink. You overreceive. And then your brain has no choice but to process everything it took in. Brain imaging studies have actually watched this happen. When highly sensitive people look at emotional faces, especially the faces of people they love, their brains show stronger activation in the regions tied to awareness, emotion, and that mirror neuron system we just talked about. And one region in particular keeps showing up, the insula. The insula is sometimes called the seat of consciousness because it blends what is happening outside you with what is happening inside your body. Your heartbeat, your breath, your gut. So when you say you feel someone's sadness in your chest, you are not being poetic. You are giving an accurate anatomical report. Your brain is literally mapping other people's emotional states onto your own physical body and then asking you to carry them around all day. This is also why music destroys you. Researchers using brain scans have found that when people get chills from a piece of music, the brain releases dopamine. And here is the fascinating part. It releases some of it in anticipation in the few seconds before the peak moment even arrives. Your brain is predicting the emotional payoff and rewarding you for the prediction. Now add a nervous system that processes more deeply, feels more intensely, and senses the subtle. That is why a single chord change can wreck you in a parked car. That is why you cry at a commercial about a dog. That is why a film ending can follow you around for 3 days. You are not being dramatic. You are experiencing art at full volume, while everyone else has the dial at 4. But every gift that arrives this loud comes with a bill, because a system that takes in everything eventually fills up, and when it fills up, it shuts down. That is the overstimulation piece, and it is the part people around you never see. You are fine, 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 and then suddenly, you are not. You need a dark room. You need silence. You need everyone to stop needing something from you for 1 hour. People read that as moodiness, as flakiness, as you being difficult. What is actually happening is that your processing system hit capacity. It is not weakness. A high-performance engine still runs out of fuel, and it runs out faster precisely because of how much it is doing. You are not tired because you are fragile. You are tired because you are running more. Now, here is where we have to get honest. Because there is a second layer to this, and it is the one that stings. For some of you, this is purely how you were born. But for others, something happened that turned the volume up even higher. If you grew up in a home where moods were unpredictable, where a slammed door could mean anything, where you had to read a parent's face the second you walked in, just to know which version of them you were getting tonight, then your naturally sensitive system got trained hard. You learned to scan faces for danger. You learned to feel the shift before it arrived. Psychologists call this hypervigilance, and it is a trauma response. It takes a beautiful trait and weaponizes it, pointing all that perception at one exhausting question. Am I safe right now? And this is where it gets genuinely complicated, because both things can be true at once. You can be born sensitive and be shaped by something painful. In fact, researchers have found something remarkable about this. They call it differential susceptibility, sometimes described as the orchid and the dandelion. Dandelion children grow almost anywhere. Orchid children wilt badly in harsh conditions, but in the right environment, with warmth and safety and room to breathe, they don't just survive. They outperform everyone. So if your sensitivity has felt like a curse, please hear this carefully. It may not be the trait that hurt you. It may have been the soil. Same seed, different garden, completely different life. And that reframe matters more than almost anything else in this video, because it means the thing you have spent years resenting about yourself was never the problem. It was just waiting for better conditions. But left unattended, this trait has a cost that almost nobody warns you about. And it is not the crying or the tiredness. It is the slow disappearance of your boundaries. Because when you feel everyone's emotions as your own, you start managing everyone's emotions as your own. You apologize just to make a room comfortable. You say yes when your entire body is screaming no. You become the friend everyone calls at midnight. The one who absorbs. The one who fixes. The one who never quite gets to be the one who needs. Neuroscientists have drawn a hard line here between two very different states. Empathic distress, where you drown in someone else's pain, and compassion, where you stay warm and present without going under. Empathic distress burns you out. Compassion doesn't. And most sensitive people were never taught the difference. And then comes the loneliest part of all. One day, you sit down and try to figure out how you actually feel about something, and you can't find the answer. Because you have spent so many years running everyone else's emotional software that you genuinely cannot tell which feelings started inside you and which ones you picked up in the room. Is this my sadness? Or did I catch it from my mother on the phone this morning? Am I anxious? Or am I just standing next to someone who is? You become fluent in everyone else's inner world and a stranger in your own. That is not sensitivity failing you. That is sensitivity with no filter, pointed permanently outward, and never once turned around to check on you. So let's talk about the way out. Because it is not what you have been told. The advice is always the same. Toughen up, build walls, care less. That advice is not just useless. It is a request to amputate the best part of you. You cannot switch off a mirror neuron system, and honestly, you would not want to. The goal was never to feel less. The goal is to know whose feeling you are holding. So you learn to ask one question, quietly, whenever the wave hits. Is this mine? And that single pause is enormous. Naming an emotion has been shown to reduce its intensity in the brain's alarm centers. You are not suppressing anything. You are just putting a label on the box before you decide whether to carry it home. Then, you protect the machine. You give yourself recovery time after big days, the way an athlete ices a knee. Not as a luxury, as maintenance. You stop apologizing for leaving the party early. You build in silence, deliberately, before your system forces it on you at the worst possible moment. And most importantly, you find your people. The 2 or 3 humans who do not need you to perform. Who do not punish you for having feelings. Who let you put the radar down and just exist. Because a nervous system this finely tuned was never designed to run in a threatening environment forever. Put it somewhere safe, and it stops being a burden. It becomes the thing that makes you extraordinary at loving, at creating, at noticing what everyone else walks straight past. You have spent years being told that you feel too much, but you were never feeling too much. You were feeling accurately, in a world that trained itself not to look. And the exact same wiring that made you the one who cries at songs, who senses the mood before the words, who carries other people's weather in your chest, is the wiring that makes you the person people come to when their life falls apart. So stop trying to turn it down. Start learning where to point it. Because the world does not need you to feel less. It needs you to finally feel yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me the one moment you knew you felt things differently than everyone around you. And if you want to understand the hidden machinery of your own mind, subscribe. Because there is a reason you keep absorbing everyone else's pain and calling it kindness. And in the next video, we are going to name it.